So I know the title seems a little bit dramatic, but how to find purpose in life is a question that we, I'm sure, have all asked ourselves from time to time. And when it comes to career, you spend a lot of your life working, so it's important that you spend it wisely and on your terms. In this video, I'll explain to you the Japanese concept of Ikigai. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it's a concept that I learned about many years ago that I thought so eloquently put into clear terms how to think about what to do with your life so that you can make it meaningful and you find happiness in what you do. So stay tuned. Hey folks, Richard Walls here, helping you with career development and personal finance. And if those two topics are of any interest to you, I'd strongly suggest subscribing to my channel down below and hitting the notification bell so you get notified of when I post new content. And of course, it'd be a huge favor to me and the growth of my channel. If you like what you see, do make sure to also hit the like button down below. So with that said, let's get to it. In many conversations I've had with people that I've mentored, there seem to be a few common themes across everyone when it comes to career development. One is they want their work to matter. And the second is they want to feel fulfilled, which ties in a little bit to the first one. And thirdly, they want to be rewarded. They want to be financially compensated in an amount that's commensurate with the work that they're putting in and their skill levels, as should anyone want. In some cases, you may achieve one objective, but not the other. So for example, you may be making a lot of money, but are miserable doing your work. Conversely, you can also be really enjoying what you're doing. You're doing something that's a passion of yours, but not making a lot of money. But there's a little bit more to it than that, and the best way to think about what to do with your life as it relates to a career is to think about the Japanese concept of Ikigai, which roughly translates to reason for being. And I'm going to pop up this handy Venn diagram that I'll now walk you through to explain this concept and this framework. On two ends here, you'll find the sections for what you love, and on the other end is what you can be paid for. But there's also two more sections that are listed as what are you good at and what does the world need. One example to consider here is being a musician. Now, in all likelihood, you probably wouldn't make a lot of money being a musician, but if it's something you're very passionate about and you enjoy very much, then it's likely okay that you make the money that you make because you're doing something you love. And so long as you meet your financial obligations and you're able to live off the money you get, then it's okay. And to add on to that, if you happen to be very talented and do a really good job of marketing yourself, there is potential to make more money, which ties in very well to doing what you love. And whether or not the world needs it, I may say something here that will upset many musicians out there, but I can say it because I am a musician. I very much enjoy music. I think it makes the world a better place to live in. And just as proof, let me show you some of my instruments. I've got my electric guitar on the wall that I don't play as often as I play my acoustic, which is just down there. So again, music is very much a part of my life. In fact, I've got a trumpet upstairs that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, only because the guitar has taken precedence. But all that to say is I love music. But does the world need it? I would argue the world doesn't need music like it needs other goods and services. And just to illustrate that point a little bit better, let me introduce a different role so you can contrast that. Consider being a data scientist. On average, the pay is probably quite good. And you may or may not love the work, but maybe you're really good at it. And what's better is that the world really needs it. How do I know that? Well, the data supports it. There happens to be a lot of demand in the job market for data scientists because really every company out there is hopefully using data to make better and more informed decisions and to make those decisions faster. The decisions, in turn, can impact everything from how successful financially a business is, or whether or not we get closer to curing certain illnesses. All of it is powered by data, so there is a clear need in this world for it, and I would argue that makes the role pretty fulfilling. Now, the ultimate goal here is to land right in the middle. Now, I emphasize the word goal because that's something you should be trying to achieve, and it may take you a long time to get there, or you might not get there at all with one specific role. It may require you to move from one role that achieves maybe 2 or 3 of the 4 objectives, and then move into another role that achieves a different combination of objectives. So in totality, when you look at your life and your career, you can say that you've met many of these objectives along the way, maybe not all at the exact same time, although that, again, that's the goal, is to be in the middle. But if you don't get there, that's also perfectly okay. You can be in a great situation by meeting these objectives. The more you meet, the better. Now, if you look at this and you've heard everything I just said, you may be inclined to think that if there's a role out there that only meets one of the objectives, then that's something you shouldn't do. Now, I'd say generally that's true, but there are plenty of exceptions. For instance, if you are early in your career or new in your career, and you're not exactly sure what you enjoy or what you're good at or what you might be good at or what you might enjoy, then in that case, it's going to pay you dividends to go out and experiment and take on roles that may on the surface not be as interesting or may not pay the most or you think you might not be good at. It pays a lot to experiment because you simply don't know until you've tried it. That's not to say go look at any role and accept any role. You certainly want to look at positions where you feel that based on your education or skill sets, you can make a really strong contribution. Nonetheless, part of what makes us all happy ultimately is feeling valued, and what makes us feel valued is a combination of all the elements you see in this framework. Now, I'm going to return really quickly to the ongoing debate of doing what you love versus do what makes money. And the real answer, of course, that you see here is try to find something that accomplishes both. But there may often be times where you believe your passion cannot yield great returns, in which case that may require a little bit more creativity, which I would recommend if there is a passion of yours that traditionally doesn't make a lot of money, or you might think there's not a lot of opportunity there. Go and check out a video I did. I'll link it in the description below or in the card above, that I did on a book called 100 Side Hustles. And it's a really fantastic book. There are 100 stories of people turning what they do on the side, whatever it is that they're passionate about, into real solid income. And so that may give you some ideas on how to think outside the box and how to monetize what you enjoy doing. Now, one recommendation I have for folks that have a passion or an interest in a certain subject, but there's not a lot of financial reward in it, is to actually get a business education or a business degree. And the reason I recommend that is because a business education or business degree is very well rounded, and it's a necessity at just about any company out there that needs to be financially viable to survive or succeed. And so you can get that business education and then go work for a company that does something you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about creating music, you can go work for a record label, just as an example. Or if you are really into other sorts of art, again, you can go work for another company that does something artistic. So you can fuel that desire for your creativity, if that ends up being the case. Whatever it is you're passionate about, you can fuel that desire while still getting compensated enough to live comfortably. Folks, I hope the framework helps. Let me know down in the comments below a little bit about what you do and whether or not it checks some or even all of the boxes here in this framework. I'd love to get a dialogue going. and talk through a little bit of that. With that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.